If you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I've downsized considerably over the last couple of, at least for the last year or so. But what I didn't get rid of were my fleet of old vintage sequencers, and I'm often asked about that, why I've kept those sequencers. So today I'm going to show you exactly why. One argument, and I've used it myself, is that limitations force creativity. It's only partially true, yes. Limitations can take you very far, but it can also take you very short. But occasionally it is true, and it's for those occasions I kept those vintage sequencers. When I sit in front of the DAW, having to make a piece of music, either for myself or for a client, it happens that I don't have any inspiration at all. I can't seem to find anything good to write. I can't find anything good to pull down from the air. And in those cases, I can pull out a sequencer. So what's happening is that my brain starts to go in that direction when I sit in front of the DAW doing my usual shtick. But by hooking up that old sequencer, my brain starts to go in that direction instead, because the workflow is so different, and I might have to check the manual, how that sequencer works, etc. Because I have to admit, I don't have the muscle memory intact for every old sequencer. Sometimes, more often than not, I have to check the manual myself or one of my old videos to find out how exactly that sequencer worked. So my brain was going in that direction, now it's going in that direction. I'm working on a track right now for a client. The specs are very simple. It has to be a simple, slow, chill, 2-chord repeated pattern. I've been trying that cue for days. I can't find anything good, at least not something I'm happy with. So let's pull out a sequencer, and the sequencer of choice today is the Yamaha. What is it? The Yamaha QX5FD. That's the one I've chosen for this. So let's try it. Okay, so I've hooked up the sequencer to this Alpha Juno 2, used as a master keyboard only here. And honestly, just by sitting here right now in front of that sequencer, it starts to impact my brain activity. I'm drifting towards something else than I would have done sitting in front of the DAW. Not saying the result will be better or worse, but it will be different. So just noodling with the electric piano here. So from the master keyboard, by changing the MIDI channels, I can reach different synths in this MIDI setup. For now, I won't tell you which synths I'm using. You can guess, and I'll reveal it later in the video. But I'm using an electric piano sound, a bass sound, and a string pad for this arrangement. That's what I've set up. And as usual, there's always some hiccup with the connections, which I have to go through. Unhooking, hooking up MIDI cables again, finding out what's needed to iron out the problems. And instead of going berserk, I find this quite relaxing actually, since none of my gear is usually hooked up to anything. I have to do this from scratch each time, and every setup is different. And this is actually helping me with the creative process. Okay, so the Yamaha QX5FD is ready to go. This was a competitor to the Roland MC500 at the time, but unlike the MC500, everything on the QX5 has to be recorded on track 1. And once that is done, this has to be exchanged for another track before you can overdub again on track 1. This is the Yamaha way of the 80s. So on MIDI channel 1, I have that electric piano, and I will record that first. Through a MIDI merger, I have a drum machine hooked up to the output of the sequencer as well, so I can have some drums going when I'm recording my parts instead of just listening to that metronome click. Let's first set a chill, slow tempo. I think 65 will do nicely for this. Again, I'm doing this for a client to his specs, so I have to oblige. Master keyboard is set to 1. I'm reaching my electric piano, and I'm recording, given a 8-bar countdown, which can be changed of course, but let's use that for now. this can be looped definitely, but I'm giving the client an option here of having these two end chords, should he like that. I'm happy with this. I'm not going to quantize this, but I will have to exchange everything now on track 1 for another track, because all overdubs have to be done on track 1, so I don't want to lose what I just did. So by doing this, I put this on track number 5 instead, and now I can use track 1 again for the bass part. And I've set up the bass part on the MIDI channel number 3, so I'll just change out the sending MIDI channel from the master keyboard from 1 to 3, and I'm ready for that bass part. I want to have this bass part nice and simple, but I want to have it evolve a little bit as I'm playing. Let's do it. Okay, let's hear that back. Not perfectly on time, so let's quantize this bass part to 16ths. That's easily done here. Let's check it back now. Okay, so the bass part is now perfectly in sync with the drums, but since I didn't quantize the piano part, I have a nice human feel, a human touch to all of this, which I like. Last thing I have to remember is to exchange this track for another one as well, because I have one more overdub to do, the string pad, and again that has to be done on track number 1. And the string pad I've set up on MIDI channel number 2, so let's do that one. And when you're doing strings or pads or any sort of harmony structure on a synth, I find it's very, very important to find the right intervals, how you're going to lay those triads or maybe even more notes in the chord. Because if you're not careful, your arrangement will sound kind of stale and not very textured. If you have a top line ending on the C note, it's important that the chord doesn't end on the C note as well, but maybe an interval below. These things I think is very important to have interest points for the listener, who is the end, call it user of your service or your products. So I always pay great attention to how I layer my chords, pads, strings and whatnot. I do have an idea for a melodic line, and I think I know what to do when layering these chords as I record. So let's do just that and see how it goes. Okay, I never quantize pads, strings and harmonic structures usually, but I do have to exchange from track 1 over to another track, so I can keep track 1 free and unfettered for, yeah, whatever. It all sounds good to me. Now the only thing missing is a lead part to add a melodic theme to it all, and this will be pretty much done and ready for mix down. So for the lead part, I'm just doing this live on top of a repeatable loop, and this is the sound I'm going to use. So let's do it. I think I prefer the second pass actually from this. Okay, the electric piano came from the Yamaha TX802. No surprise there. The Roland D550 had clear intentions of doing the strings. And the Kawai K3M with its superb low bass is the bass. The Roland TR8S with my custom kit doing the drums here. Very nice in my opinion. And the Yamaha DM3 mixer. So everything goes through here. So the mix down of this will be completely done live as you hear it. Everything done old school, MIDI sequenced. Better or worse than me sitting in front of the door? I don't know, but I'm happy with this and I like it. So what sequencers then did I keep after my downsizing of everything? Well, I have them all on these shelves. And the Roland MSQ700 with its quirky quad-eyes functionality, I have to keep that one. The Yamaha QX1, well, I don't like that anymore, so I've sold this. When you watch this video, it's gone. But I've kept the QX7, QX21, QX5 and QX5FD as you just saw. Great small sequencers, as is the Chord SQD1. I love that one as well. Great inspiration. And I have the Yamaha QX3 still, which is much, much better than the QX1. So I'll keep that one for those big arrangements. The Kawai Q80, of course, another great one. Highly underrated, but loved by many. And those two Ataris back there. I use these occasionally as well. And I do have the Roland MC500, but that's at the doctor's office right now, so I can't show it live in the video. And that wraps it up for this video, I guess. I hope you found it interesting to see that different workflows can yield a different result. And I'll use any technique that works to get the results. And to honor you, Shudoshi. As always, I'm Espen Kraft. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Cheers.